Coach Fred Cowgill from WLKY. This is anything but a normal October 14th, but year to year, do you feel like you guys are about where you want to be for October 14th?
I don't know if you ever feel like you are where you want to be, Fred, whether it's a normal year or not. I think it's been a lot of just different, a lot of different things have happened, for our players, for our coaches, for our program, for our university, health, anybody around the world. And so we're all trying to adapt. And, it seems more normal when we're in the gym every single day with our guys. And, for us starting tomorrow, there'll be even more normalcy as we practice each and every day. So I'm not going to try to worry about comparing, where we were at last year. I would tell you, all things being equal, we have a lot less experience on our team than we did a year ago. So it's only natural that we're a little bit behind where we were a year ago. But we feel good, and we're excited to get practice underway.
Coach, C.D. Kaplan from Card Chronicle. Do we have any semblance of an idea when we might get a schedule or part of a schedule?
I think the non-conference schedule should be out here very, very soon, in the next 3, 4, 5 days. I think the conference schedule, you're asking the wrong person, because I want that as quickly as I can get it. So I don't know, quite frankly, when that schedule's coming, the ACC schedule. I don't even know our opponent for the ACC Big Ten Challenge yet. But got to get going here soon. We should know hopefully soon.
Coach,
we'll take Shannon next, and then Jerry right after.
Thank you. Shannon Russell, Courier-Journal. Captains were announced yesterday, and Carlik Jones and Malik Williams. Did that surprise you at all that those two guys were chosen to be kind of the voice of the team this year?
No, I think Malik was obviously a year ago, Shannon, a part of the trilogy, if you will. He was one of 3 captains named last year, so I thought it was only natural. He's done nothing but cement who he is as a player in person with our group. Carlik is obviously the guy that wasn't here a year ago, but arguably one of our most talented players. He's had a great voice. I think he's acclimated to his teammates extremely well. He's a winner. And so I think players gravitate to him. Certainly Malik knows our system better, but I think both of those guys will do a terrific job as captains of our team.
Jerry?
Chris, Joel Justice had a teleconference earlier this afternoon in which he said that you and he and his family had a connection at Wake Forest. I wondered if you could elaborate a little. I think he said you worked with his mother or alongside. Can you elaborate a little on what that relationship was like there and how close you are now?
Sure. Mary Ann Justice was Joel's mom, was our secretary when I was an assistant coach at Wake Forest. And, we obviously, as a coaching staff at Wake, followed Joel's career both in high school and throughout college as a player. And then ultimately, when he got into college coaching, prior to that, he was in high school coaching, just sort of followed it from afar. So, I know that the Wake Forest women played here, or I should say played at Xavier a few years ago. So I had the opportunity to see Mary Ann then. And so, yeah, great family, terrific people. And got to know them fairly well, obviously, during my time at Wake.
And I wonder, Chris, what sort of feedback you've gotten from Kentucky or conversations regarding the video you put out and the tongue-in-cheek video, I assume, and where that all stands at this point.
Well, I would say I don't have much feedback from, Kentucky. Other than some fans every once in a while. We're anxious and excited to play the game. The date, I'm pretty sure it's going to be December 26th. But other than that, not a whole lot to add.
Thank you.
Chris, hey, it's Jody Dimling with Cardinal Authority. What? I know you're going to start tomorrow. Will the schedule be different because of the protocols or days off and that kind of stuff? How different is the preseason going to look as far as practice-wise?
Well, I don't think a whole lot different. You get 42 days, prior to your first game. So prior to November 25th, which is today, October 14th. And in those 42 days, you're only allowed to practice on 30 of them, Jody. That's no different, the last few years. And, so now being that we're going to take on, you have to take off at least once a week by NCAA rules. But if you divide that 30 out of 42, you're obviously going on, taking off more than once a week. And so what we elect to do is now when we start tomorrow, we have 41 days to get 30 practice days in. So that's just sort of the way that we're using. Not a whole lot's different other than that. I would say that we're not going to have Louisville Live. We're not going to have a red-white scrimmage open to the public. We're not going to have a secret scrimmage or an exhibition game like we would in years past. And so, first night, November 25th, we play. As a coaching staff, you better be prepared for anything. Especially from your own team, not having seen them in any type of competition outside of playing against themselves each and every day in practice.
Gary.
As a follow-up, Chris, with football, Coach Satterfield has talked about how they can't have their team meetings like they normally do because there's so many guys and they do a lot of Zoom and that. I assume because your group is smaller that you're able to still do those kind of things, correct?
We are. We meet in larger spaces. We don't gather in the film room. We watch film on the floor, on the practice floor. If we have to have any type of meeting that is going to be extended time, we'll spread the guys out either on chairs on the practice court or in the stands of the practice gym, just to make sure the message gets across in the best way that we can do. Best way we can do it. So you just try to limit yourselves in closed spaces, but our assistant coaches are going to watch film with the players just like they would any other year. And, both parties will have their mask on and, we're no different than every other school, and it's done in football and all these different sports. So, yeah.
Coach Mack, it's ESPN Louisville. When it came to getting teams scheduled for the bubble, what did you guys do to entice some of those teams to come to your bubble, considering there's other teams across the country trying to do what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I put it out on social media. A bunch of our coaches made calls. We had a pretty good perspective of who was playing and what MTE events and which ones were probable versus which ones were probably going to be canceled, and tried to build sort of a stable of teams that may want to and may want to participate. In terms of what we sold, I think a lot of these are protected environments, and I wasn't in Orlando for the NBA bubble, but with the Galt House being connected to Yum, the ability for our health officials to test every day, for the coaches in agreement that we aren't going to leave the bubble, including, teams that are right here, us. So, I think there were a lot of things. Now, you got to divide cost, and we didn't know attendance figures, and quite honestly, still don't. But, those were some of the things that I think some of the schools that ended up jumping on felt like there was a little bit more certainty with our event. And, so we're excited to host several teams starting on the 25th.
Next up is Gary Graves.
Chris, along with the protocols that you all have followed, you as a coach, did you delegate any kind of player responsibility? Someone to just monitor the teammates and make sure that they follow the rules and protocols that you all have to stay safe?
Yeah, it's a good question. Gary, we've tried, as best we can to get across to our players. They're at great risk at losing games, at losing, time on the court in a game that they love to play. We've had a few players that have had COVID, And quite honestly, a lot of them, have had symptoms for a day, but then have been fine. But now they're out for 21 days because of all the, the quarantining, the isolation period, the return to play protocol that we have in place. So I think those incidents, if you will, have given our guys like great pause to like make sure that how they're handling themselves away from the time that we're with us in the practice facility is responsible. Now, I'm not, locking up the dorm and making those guys live in isolation for 4 months prior to our season start. And I just think that's not reality. But I think our guys have done a terrific job. We also have graduate assistants that I trust wholeheartedly that live in the dorm with our players. And so as best we can, we've tried to, caution our guys that if they want to play the season, they've got to do their part. And they've done a pretty good job by and large.
Shannon's up next.
Hi, I'm back. I had a quick question about the MTE. As teams are getting their schedules together, do you know how many teams you will end up with and when that will all be kind of wrapped up?
I don't. I know we have several contracts back, Shannon. Quite honestly, Dino Gaudio's handled that. I know, and I'm not going to talk about it today, but I know the teams that we are playing. And like I said, that'll be announced here very, very shortly. The one thing I would tell you is not every team that's in the event is playing the same amount of games. So that alters it a little bit. It's not like there's 5 teams in and they're all playing 4 games. So there's a little bit of oddity to the schedule. There are a team or two that are going to play, a couple games. And so all that'll get announced here in the next week.
Yes, Mr. Sullivan.
Hi, Coach. Could you just sort of describe the challenges presented by the pandemic and the new protocols as far as team bonding and building team chemistry? And is there anything new you guys have done this year to help that bonding process in light of those challenges?
Yeah, Josh, I would tell you that a lot of the time that bonding you want, guys becoming close as teammates, a lot of times that happens away from the coaching staff. And I think our guys have probably spent more time together than ever. They're not able to go all different directions. They're not able to go home. They're here. They're together. And they've spent a lot of time with one another. And I think when they get the opportunity to come over to our practice facility, whether that's to shoot with a teammate or come to a workout, I think there's an extra energy about them because, quite honestly, they're sort of let out, if you will. So it's been challenging, but I think our players have probably spent more time together than in past years. I don't think we have any type of cliques on our team. I think our guys are a really fun group to coach, and I think they really enjoy being around one another. So there are challenges when it comes to being able, for instance, to take our team out to a team dinner. We normally have a night before our first practice, a team meeting, which we still will, and then we go out to dinner. And obviously, we're not going to do that. It's trying to keep exposure at a minimum for our team.
Kent up next.
Yeah, Chris, was there a moment that motivated you to do the video?
A moment to motivate me. I don't know. I never really thought about it. Maybe when I hit the record button, maybe that was the moment.
Take 2 more for Coach. Anybody?
Coach, hey, it's Jody again. With Malik and kind of what do you want to see with him this year? Obviously, he's been a great leader. He's been a great defensive player. Offensively, what do you want to kind of see? How do you want to see him grow in this senior year?
Well, I think you answered that question, Jody, because you just talked about his great leadership and his great defense, and then you hit the pause button when you came to his offense. So I think as a coach, you want to see every player under you continue to get better and better. I will say that those first 2 things for us in a year where he's not playing with 5, 5th-year seniors, needs to be even better than it was a year ago. He has to be by far the best defensive player on our team, if not the ACC, especially at his position. He's got a terrific IQ for the game. He sees things develop in ways that most big guys don't. And he's got to be able to communicate that to a younger group that may not have the experience in certain places that they did a year ago. So his defense has to be, high level for our team. I think as a captain, he has to be a terrific leader. He's got to be able to challenge, hold players accountable, hold teammates accountable. That's never easy. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not. These are your dorm mates. These are your buddies. These are your equals in every step of the way. And then all of a sudden you have to challenge a teammate. I think it should be easier for Malik because he's not dealing with players that have been here longer than him. And usually seniors that it means a whole lot to, they relish in that role. And I'd love to see Malik grow in them. So those are the two areas that he's been really good, and I need him to be elite. And then when it comes to his offense, I think that, he's got to be a guy that we count on that can score, both around the basket, facing up, shooting the ball, which I know he likes to do. And I want him to play confident with that. We're not going to just stick him in the post and ask him to play like Shaquille O'Neal did. We're going to have him on the perimeter. We're going to have him in pick and roll situations. He's going to have opportunities to make his teammates better as a passer. Being a big guy, drawing the other team's biggest defender out on the floor. So that there's a lot of things that I need Malik to be better in, and I suspect he will. He cares a whole lot, and he's a phenomenal teammate, and somebody I want to miss coaching a year from now. Unless he'd like to come back, which apparently he's able to.
Chris, this is Kent Taylor from Wave. Can you, the one-time transfer rule, which everybody seems to think that'll go through, and then also the players getting another year of eligibility. These are obviously pretty big for recruiting. How does that affect your job and moving forward as you try to plan out a roster?
Well, I think, in regard to the rule of players being able to come back, I think that's awfully generous. I know the NCAA gets smashed on by a lot of people on different topics, but to at least grant that ability, I don't know if it's been quite ruled on, but it seems that's the way it's trending, and it was done in spring and it's done in the fall, so I would certainly think it would happen in basketball. And then that's going to come down to the school. Do they make the decision to keep 14, 15 guys on scholarship, knowing the economic times that we're in? That's another thing, but I think that as far as the, transfer without penalty and sitting out a year in residence, I've gone on record and saying I don't think that's a good rule. And I don't think I'll ever feel like it will be a good rule or is going to be a good rule. That's just how I feel.
Great. Thank you, Coach. We'll take a moment before we get Malik with us. Just a couple quick things.